So Arteta walked into that press conference yesterday and the first thing out of his mouth about team news was nothing concrete, just this perfectly crafted, deliberately vague, almost frustrating response. There have been changes since yesterday. Some of them will be available. That was the update on 5 players. Saka, Odegaard, Timber, Calafiori, Hincapie, 5 of our most important players, and the man gives us that. Now look, I've been watching Arteta do press conferences for years now, and I know the difference between when he's genuinely unsure and when he's playing chess with the opposing manager's preparation team. Yesterday felt like chess, very deliberate chess. But here's what makes this morning so interesting, because buried inside that press conference, buried under all the mystery, was one piece of news that I genuinely did not see coming this quickly. And when I tell you it changes the tactical picture for today, I mean it. I really mean it. Eze is back. Eberechi Eze, Arsenal's player of the month for March, the man who scored that goal against Leverkusen that had the Emirates bouncing. He's fit, he's available. Arteta confirmed it on the record, and not just confirmed it, he described how Eze pushed through his recovery ahead of schedule, how he's been pushing the medical staff every single day to get back faster than anyone expected. Think about what that means for today. Just sit with that for a second. If you're new here, I'm Amelia, Arsenal fan, tactical nerd, YouTube creator who refuses to just read you the headlines and call it a day. Before we continue, I need to correct something from yesterday's video. Yesterday, I said that Antonio Semenyo is still playing for Bournemouth. That was wrong. He's no longer a Bournemouth player. He joined Manchester City. That mistake is on me. I want to apologise for the confusion. When I get something wrong, I'm not going to hide from it. I'll own it and correct it. I know many of you come here for accurate football information, and I take that seriously. I'll make sure to be more careful moving forward so this doesn't happen again. Thank you to everyone who pointed it out respectfully. All right, now let's move on with the show. So Eze, let's start there, because I think some people are going to treat this like a nice little bonus. Oh, great, Eze's back, lovely, adds depth. No, stop. This is not a minor footnote. This is potentially the most important piece of team news we've had in the last 3 weeks. And here's why. When Eze went down with that calf injury against Leverkusen on March 17th, the report said 4 to 6 weeks. That was the timeline from people close to the medical situation. Some outlets were saying he might miss the Manchester City game on April 19th. A few even floated the possibility he could miss part of May. He's been out for less than 4 weeks, and he is fit and available to play today. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but he's probably not starting. He'll come off the bench. And maybe that's right. Maybe Arteta eases him back into it. But here's where the tactical conversation gets really interesting. What role does Eze actually fill today? Because if Odegaard is not available, and I'll get into Odegaard's situation in a minute because that is a conversation in itself, but if Odegaard is not available, then suddenly Eze isn't the luxury option. Eze is the starting 10. Eze is the creative hub, the player that everything funnels through in the final third. And against Bournemouth specifically, this man has scored 3 goals in 5 Premier League appearances against them. 3 goals. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. There's something about the way Bournemouth set up defensively, their shape, the gaps they leave when they press high, that Eze exploits naturally. He drifts into those pockets. He finds the half spaces. He takes his shot early. If Arteta starts Eze today, it's not a gamble. It's actually a pretty shrewd bit of matchup planning. But wait, here's the part I haven't mentioned yet. The Norway national team manager, Ståle Solbakken, came out 2 days ago and confirmed publicly that Odegaard has a setback. His exact words were a small setback, and that he expects the player back on the pitch before long. Now, 2 things about that. 1, a national team manager confirming an injury to a club player in the middle of a title race is a big deal. That's not the kind of thing you want leaked from outside the building. Arteta likes to control information. He's meticulous about it. And having Solbakken just casually drop that in a Norwegian press conference, that complicates things. 2, small setback and before long tells us almost nothing. Does that mean today? Does that mean the Sporting second leg on Wednesday? Does that mean the City game? We don't know. And Arteta certainly wasn't going to clarify. So the honest answer is, as of right now, standing here this morning, I don't know if Odegaard plays today. And I don't think anyone outside the training ground genuinely knows either. What I do know is this: if he doesn't play, the way Arsenal build attacks changes significantly. Because Odegaard isn't just a number 10 who takes nice touches and plays clever passes. He's the player who controls the tempo between the lines. He's the player who decides when Arsenal speed up and when they slow down. He reads the game and essentially conducts it. Without him, that falls on someone else, and that's someone else. And if Eze is fit and available, is Eze, who is a very different kind of player. More direct, more explosive, more likely to take on a shot from distance, which honestly, against Bournemouth's defensive record from set pieces and dead ball situations, might not be the worst thing in the world. Okay, let's talk about Saka, because the Saka situation is doing my head in a little bit. He hasn't played since the Carabao Cup final, that was weeks ago now, and every press conference since then, Arteta has been warm but vague. He's getting closer, we're managing him carefully, he's working hard. Yesterday, he wasn't in the open training session again. Now I want to be careful here, because absence from the visible part of training doesn't automatically mean unavailable. These clubs stream certain parts of training. They show you what they want to show you. Players can be working inside, doing modified sessions. There's a lot we don't see, but I'll be honest with you, the more time that passes without Saka on a pitch, any pitch, the more I start to feel like today might be too soon. And if it is too soon, then you've got Madueke starting on the right again, which is fine. Madueke was actually very decent in Lisbon on Tuesday. He pressed well. He tracked back. He caused problems in transition, but Saka and Madueke are not the same player. Saka makes Arsenal asymmetrical in a way no one else on the squad currently does. He can come narrow, he can go wide, he can drive at defenders, he can cross, he can cut inside and shoot. He gives Arteta options within a single position. Madueke is more direct, more of a traditional wide forward. Against Bournemouth's left side, that distinction matters. Because yes, Semenyo is gone, he joined City in January, but Bournemouth still carry real attacking energy and movement on that flank. And whoever Arsenal put at right back today is going to have to stay sharp and disciplined from the first whistle. Which brings me to the back line, because depending on who is and isn't available today, the defensive setup could look really quite different to what we saw in Lisbon. If Timber is fit, and the early reports suggest his absence from Thursday training was more precautionary than injury related, then we get Timber at left back, Ben White at right back, Saliba and Gabriel in the middle. That's our best available defensive unit right now. That's what I want to see. If Timber isn't available, then Calafiori at left back and Miles Lewis-Skelly potentially gets a look, or you shift things around. And look, I rate Miles. I think he's going to be a serious player for us. But playing him in a match where we're trying to stay disciplined against Bournemouth's counter-attack tempo is a big ask. And here's something I haven't seen many people pick up on. Calafiori also missed Thursday's training. Now, unlike some of the others, the indication is that this is load management rather than injury. He's played a lot of football recently. He was with Italy during the international break, on top of everything with Arsenal. His legs might just need a rest. But the timing is awkward because both of our first choice left backs have question marks over them this morning. Tell me if I'm wrong here, but the number of players we're carrying into a must-win match with fitness doubts feels like a crisis that's somehow not being treated like a crisis. And I think part of that is because we're 9 points clear and everyone's relatively calm. But if this were March, if this was September, this level of injury doubt across this many positions would have every Arsenal fan absolutely in bits. Right, I want to switch the conversation for a second, because I think the bigger picture stuff is actually just as important as the team news right now. Guardiola held his press conference yesterday and he said something that I genuinely believe is one of the most significant things said in this title race all season. He said, and this is not me paraphrasing, this is essentially his direct acknowledgement that Manchester City need to win every single remaining game, every one. Otherwise, they don't have a chance. Think about what that means coming from Pep Guardiola. This is not some pundit talking. This is not a fan. This is the man who has won the Premier League 6 times with City. The man who arguably understands what it takes to win this competition better than anyone alive. And he is publicly saying, we have to be perfect from here, every game. Now, Guardiola is smart. He's always smart. There's always an element of managing expectations in what he says publicly, but the math backs him up. If City win all 8 remaining games, they finish on 85 points. Arsenal can lose to City on April 19th and still win the title, as long as they pick up enough points everywhere else. We don't even have to beat them at the Etihad. Think about that. And then there's Bernardo Silva. Guardiola's assistant basically let slip last week that Silva is leaving in the summer when his contract expires. Guardiola addressed it in the press conference, didn't deny it, got a little emotional about it if I'm being honest. He spoke about Silva being the best example in last year's horrible season, about how much he means to the club. Now, I know Bernardo Silva leaving feels like a City problem, not an Arsenal problem, but think about what it does to a dressing room. Think about what it does to the psyche of a squad that's already chasing ghosts in a title race they know they probably can't win. Bernardo Silva knows he's playing his last few games for City. His teammates know it, Guardiola knows it, and now the public knows it. That's a distraction, a quiet but significant distraction. Meanwhile, at Arsenal, the narrative is Eze coming back ahead of schedule, players fighting to get fit, Arteta controlling information, a squad that genuinely believes. The energy is completely different. Okay, I want to spend a few minutes on something tactical because I genuinely think it's being underappreciated. We talked yesterday, and look, if you haven't watched yesterday's video, go watch it. I broke down Bournemouth in a lot of detail, but we know Bournemouth's unbeaten run is now at 11 games. We know they press intensely. We know their danger is primarily in transition. But here's what I want to add to that conversation today. Bournemouth are coming into this game with their own injury concerns. Tyler Adams is a significant doubt. Lewis Cook is a significant doubt. Now, those two players, Adams in particular, are central to how Bournemouth function in midfield. He's the engine, he's the press trigger, he's the player that makes their intensity organised rather than chaotic. Without Adams, or with a reduced version of Adams who's not fully fit, Bournemouth's press loses its timing mechanism. The players around him don't press as effectively because they're not reading the same triggers. The gaps that Arsenal can exploit in transitions become bigger. And if Krupi doesn't start or isn't fully himself, that's the goal threat neutralised significantly. I'm not saying Bournemouth become easy. I would never say that. Their last 5 games have all been draws. They know how to be disciplined. They know how to be frustrating. Iraola is an excellent manager and he will have this team incredibly well drilled for this fixture. But the combination of our Eze news and their injury doubts has shifted the balance just a little bit more in our favour. And I think that matters psychologically as much as it matters tactically. Can I just take a moment to appreciate what Arteta is doing though? Because the man has mastered the art of the press conference non-answer. He stood there yesterday knowing that Iraola's staff are going to watch every frame of that briefing. And he told them absolutely nothing useful. 5 players with doubts, some of them, which ones, I don't know. But here's the thing, and this is subtle but important. The fact that he said there have been changes since yesterday about the group that missed training on Thursday is actually a hint. Because if all 5 were definitely out, he wouldn't say that. He'd probably just say something like, we have a few players managing their fitness. The changes since yesterday line suggests movement progress. At least some of them trained differently on Friday, which to me points toward Timber, whose Thursday absence was almost certainly load management, possibly being a surprise name in the starting lineup today. And honestly, a fit Timber at left back changes things. It means Calafiori can either come in centrally if needed or get a rest day he probably deserves. It means the left side of the defence has a player who is aggressive, who can get forward, and who can handle Bournemouth's right-sided running. I want Timber today. I really want Timber today. Let me tell you what my ideal lineup looks like, because I've been turning this over in my head and I think I've landed on it. Raya in goal, obviously. Back 4 of White, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber. If Timber is fit, and I think he is, double pivot of Rice and Zubimendi. I trust that partnership completely right now. They were excellent in Lisbon. They're going to be excellent today. And then the front 4 is where it gets interesting. Martinelli on the left. He earned this start. The way he came off the bench in Lisbon and changed the game was a reminder of what he brings when he's sharp, direct, aggressive, always a threat in behind. Eze in the 10. I know some people will say rest him. I say start him. He has a 3-goal record against this team. He's been pushing to come back for weeks. He's ready. Madueke on the right unless Saka is confirmed fit this morning. Well, in which case you obviously start Saka and Havertz as the striker. Gyökeres starts against Sporting on Wednesday. Today is Havertz's game. He's coming off the back of scoring the winner in Lisbon. He's confident, he's physical, he presses from the front, and he's going to fancy his chances against Bournemouth centre-backs at set pieces. That's the team. That's what I want. And I think actually there's a decent chance that's pretty close to what we get. All right, let's talk about how this game actually plays out. Because I think a lot of people expect Arsenal to just dominate from the first whistle and coast to a comfortable win. And I want to push back on that a little bit. Bournemouth are going to make this uncomfortable. That's their job. That's what they do. They're going to press high. They're going to try and win the ball in dangerous positions. They're going to try and catch us in transition during those first 15-20 minutes when the press is still fresh and intense and we haven't quite settled into the game yet. Without Odegaard, if he doesn't play, that's the period I worry about most, because Odegaard is the player who keeps the ball when the press is most intense. He's the player who finds the third man, who switches the play, who makes the opposition's press look silly. Without him, Rice and Zubimendi might have to take on more of that responsibility, and they're both capable of it, but it's not the same. The other thing I'm watching is the right flank. White against Bournemouth's left channel. And look, yes, Semenyo is gone, left for City in January, which does take a massive threat away from them on that side. But don't think the danger just disappears. Bournemouth still have runners who can get in behind in transition. White is a great footballer. He's smart, he reads the game, but he's not the quickest defender in a straight sprint. If they get him isolated in behind, that's a genuine danger. This is where Madueke or Saka, whoever starts on the right, absolutely has to track back, has to, because if we're getting exposed down that right flank in transition, and Bournemouth's counters are the best in the league from a fast break perspective, that's a recipe for a very nervous afternoon. Now, I want to come back to the bigger picture one more time, because today isn't just 3 points. It never is at this stage of the season, but especially not now. If we win today, and I believe we will, we go 12 points clear of Manchester City, 12, with 7 games remaining for us and 8 for them. And then City play Chelsea away on Sunday. Chelsea have been genuinely decent recently. They're not going to just roll over for City. So there's a real chance that by Sunday evening, City have dropped points and suddenly the conversation around this title race changes completely. And then there's April 19th. The direct head-to-head at the Etihad. And look, I've already done the math. We don't need to win that game to win but winning at the Etihad in front of their fans when they need a result would be one of the greatest moments in this club's recent history. That's what's on the horizon, and that's where this is heading. But it starts today. It starts at 12:30 at the Emirates. And the first thing Arsenal need to do is handle their business at home against a good Bournemouth side in front of their fans with whatever injury hit squad Arteta sends out. I said it yesterday and I'll say it again. This Arsenal team has learned how to win ugly, how to win without dominating, how to grind out results when everything is slightly off. 7 wins from their last 10 across all competitions. That's not accidental. That's a team that has genuinely grown up. And here's what gives me the most confidence going into today. It's not the points gap. It's not the squad depth. It's not even Eze coming back. It's the fact that Arteta walked into that press conference yesterday, surrounded by injury, doubt and uncertainty, managing a squad that's been through a brutal stretch of games, preparing for a critical league match and a Champions League second leg in the same week. And he looked completely calm, not fake calm, not press conference calm, genuinely settled. And in my experience watching this team, when Arteta is calm, it means the group is okay. And it means the environment is right. It means something is working behind closed doors that we're not fully seeing from the outside. That matters. That really matters. Here's my prediction for today. Arsenal win 2-1. It's not comfortable for the full 90 minutes. Bournemouth make it difficult early. They probably get a goal at some point, a transition goal, or maybe a set piece of their own, because they're good enough and disciplined enough to create something. But Arsenal have too much quality, too much at stake. And on this pitch, in front of this crowd, with this level of momentum, I back them every time. Goals from Havertz and Eze, that's my call. 1 set-piece header from Havertz because that's just what he does these days. And Eze making his comeback, scoring against the team he's already scored 3 times against. That would be perfectly Arsenal, wouldn't it? Look, here's the thing I keep coming back to as we head into this afternoon. Pep Guardiola, the greatest manager of his generation, publicly admitted yesterday that his team needs a miracle. He didn't use that word, but that's what we need to win every single remaining game means. That's an admission from him on the record. Arsenal haven't won this title for 22 years. 22. And I've been through enough false dawns and painful near misses to know that nothing is over until it's over. But right now this morning, before the 12:30 kickoff, looking at the table, looking at the form, looking at what Arteta has built here and what this squad has become, it feels different. It genuinely feels different. And today is the next step. Come on, you Gunners. If you've made it this far, thank you. Genuinely. Drop a comment and tell me your starting lineup for today. I want to know, do you start Eze from the off or ease him back from the bench? Let me know below. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you doing? Hit subscribe. We do this before every game, every single game. This is the place for the real conversation, not the headlines, not the takes, the actual thinking. See you on the other side of this result. Come on, Arsenal.